The twin suns of Lumerus were falling behind the mountains, painting the alien sky in red and gold. The market was alive with noise, traders shouting prices, music from strange instruments, and the smell of roasted meat drifting through the air. But the old alien woman was not looking at the food stalls or the bright lights. Her steps stopped suddenly. She had lived for more than 80 cycles, seen 3 wars, lost her family, her home, even her faith. But when her eyes fell on the human standing near the fountain, something inside her froze. It wasn't the man himself. Humans were rare on Lumerus, yes, but not unheard of. Tall, broad-shouldered, a face marked by sun and travel, scars on his hands. He looked like many other drifters who came through the markets. No, it wasn't him. It was the ring on his hand. A simple band of dark silver, with faint blue lines running across it like veins of light. To anyone else, it was nothing more than jewelry. But to her, it was impossible. Her lips trembled. For a moment, she forgot to breathe. Slowly, as if afraid it might vanish, she whispered, Where did you get that ring?" The human turned his head. His eyes met hers. Calm, unreadable, like someone who had seen too much and spoken too little. He lifted his hand slightly, looking at the ring, then back at her. "Why?" His voice was steady, but there was a shadow of curiosity in it. She stepped closer, her old legs shaking. "Because that ring," she said, voice breaking, "should not be here, not on this world, not on you." The man frowned. He had heard people ask about his weapon before, his armor, even his scars, but never the ring. To him, it was just metal, a thing he had kept because of an old promise. "Lady," he said slowly, "it's only a ring." "No," she snapped, then lowered her voice quickly, looking around. Too many eyes, too many ears in the market. "It is not only a ring. Do you even know what you carry?" The man looked at her closely now. Something about her tone, the way her hands shook, made him feel like this was bigger than he understood. He shook his head. "I carry many things. You'll have to be more clear." She pointed at the ring, her hand trembling. "That belonged to the last prince of Lumerus," she whispered. "It was lost when the empire fell. Entire armies died searching for it. And now," her voice cracked, "now I see it on the hand of a human?" The market noise continued around them, but the man felt like everything had gone quiet. The prince of Lumerus? He remembered the battlefield. Smoke, fire, screams. A dying alien soldier pressing the ring into his hand. His words almost lost under the sound of bombs. "Keep it safe." That was years ago. The man had worn it ever since, without knowing why. He said softly, "I didn't steal it. It was given to me." "By who?" Her eyes burned into his. He thought for a moment. An old soldier. He was dying. The woman closed her eyes. She remembered her brother's face, the young prince who had left for war and never returned. Could it be the same ring? After all these years, when she opened her eyes, they were wet. "Do you know what you carry?" she asked again, her voice shaking. The man shook his head. "I'm guessing it's not just jewelry." She looked around. People were passing by, laughing, buying food, shouting at sellers. None of them knew what she had just seen. And if they did, she leaned closer, her voice a whisper. "If others see that ring, they will kill you for it." The man's eyes narrowed. "Why?" "Because," she said slowly, "that ring is the royal seal. It means power. It means bloodlines, thrones, wars, and rebellion. Anyone who carries it can claim the throne of Lumerus." The man stared at the ring like it had turned into a weapon in his hand. He had fought soldiers, mercenaries, even pirates. But this was different. "You should come with me," the old woman said suddenly. "Not here. Too many eyes. If they find out, you won't live to see the next sunrise." The man hesitated. He didn't trust easily. But something in her voice, the weight of it, told him she was right. He nodded once. "Lead the way." As they left the market, the ring glowed faintly in the fading sunlight. The man didn't know yet, but the whole galaxy was about to remember the Prince of Lumerus. and the human who carried his ring. The old alien woman led the human through the narrow streets of Lumerus. The evening market was behind them now. Here, the houses were made of dark stone, their walls covered with years of dust and war scars. The man followed her silently. His name was Kale. He didn't talk much. Life had taught him silence could save you from trouble. But now, trouble was walking right next to him. She hadn't even told him her name. Only her eyes spoke. Eyes full of memories, fear, and something else. Something he couldn't name yet. Finally, they reached a small house at the edge of the city. The door creaked open. Inside was dim light, old furniture, and shelves covered with books and strange artifacts. "Close the door," she said quickly. Kale obeyed. He had faced alien soldiers, mercenaries, pirates. He had stolen food to survive, fought men twice his size, traveled across war zones. But the way this old woman looked at him made him feel like a child again, like he was holding something he didn't understand. She pointed to a chair. "Sit." Kale sat. The woman's hands shook as she brought a small lamp closer. The warm light fell on the ring. "Do you even know what you carry?" she asked again. Kale sighed. "I told you. A dying soldier gave it to me years ago. That's all I know." Her face tightened. "Describe him." Kale thought for a moment. Tall, dark armor. He had the same symbols on his chest plate as the ones on the ring. He was bleeding badly. "I was looking for supplies after a raid. He stopped me, gave me this, said only one thing: keep it safe. Don't let them have it. Then he died." The woman closed her eyes. Her shoulders trembled like someone carrying too many ghosts. "That soldier," she whispered, "was my brother." Kale froze. She looked at him slowly. He was Prince Varen of Lumerus, the last heir to the throne after the Empire fell. That ring was the royal seal. It was not just jewelry. It was power. It was legitimacy. Whoever wears it can call the clans to war or to peace. Kale stared at the ring on his hand. Felt heavier now, like it was no longer metal, but a chain binding him to something far bigger than himself. "Why give it to me?" he asked. "I'm human. I'm no prince." The woman's lips pressed into a thin line. "Because," she said slowly, "he must have trusted you more than anyone else around him. Maybe he knew the clans would kill each other for it. Maybe he thought a stranger, a human, was the only one who could keep it out of their hands." Kale leaned back in the chair. He had taken bullets, crossed deserts, fought pirates. But this felt worse, because now everyone who wanted that ring would come for him. The woman moved to a cabinet and pulled out a small, dust-covered box. From it, she took a faded picture, a hollow image that flickered faintly. It showed a young alien prince, proud and strong, wearing the same ring on his hand. "My brother," she said softly, her voice breaking, "swore to protect our people. But when the Empire burned, he vanished. I thought him dead for decades. And now I see his ring on you." Kale looked at the image, then at the ring. "I didn't ask for this," he muttered. "No one asks for destiny," she said sharply. "It comes whether you want it or not." She sat across from him, eyes hard now. "Listen to me, human. That ring means power, and power calls enemies like blood calls sharks. If they learn you carry it, they will kill you before you take your next breath." Kale smirked faintly. Let them try. But inside he wasn't smiling. He remembered the soldier's last words. "Keep it safe. Don't let them have it." Who were they? And why did it feel like this ring was more than a crown? Maybe even a curse. The woman leaned closer. "There is a reason he gave it to you. Maybe you were just there. Or maybe..." Her voice dropped. "Maybe he believed you were the one to return it when the time was right." Kale shook his head. "I'm no savior. I don't want your throne. Or your war." Her eyes softened. "You may not want war, human, but war may want you." For a long moment, the only sound was the faint hum of the lamp. Then, far away in the city, a horn blew. The woman stiffened. "They've found us." Kale stood quickly. "Who?" She looked at the ring, then at him. "The ones who killed my brother." Kale's hand went to his gun. So this was how it began. The ring had stayed quiet for years, but now death was coming for it. And for him, the sound of the horn carried across the city like a warning from the dead. It was deep and hollow, the kind of sound that made even the wind pause. Cale stood near the door, one hand on his pistol, his eyes fixed on the old alien woman. "Who blew that horn?" he asked. His voice was calm, but inside, a storm had begun. The woman's face was pale. "It means soldiers are coming," she whispered. "Not the city guards. The ones hunting the ring." Cale's eyes narrowed. "They found us fast. They have spies everywhere," she said sharply. "They have been searching for that ring since the war ended. When my brother died, they thought it was lost forever. But now," her eyes fell on his hand, "now they know it lives." Cale didn't like the way she said lives. Like the ring wasn't just metal. Like it had a will of its own. "We need to move," he said quickly. "Do you have another way out?" The woman nodded and pointed to a back door leading into a narrow alley. But Cale didn't move yet. He turned to her. "Before we run, you need to tell me everything. No more secrets." She hesitated. Then, slowly, she sat down, her old hands gripping the edge of the table. "The ring," she began softly, "was made when the Empire of Lumerus was young. It was the royal seal. Whoever wore it could unite the 12 clans. Without it, no one could claim the throne. My brother, he was the last true heir." Cale listened, the words sinking in like cold rain. She went on, her voice heavy with memories. "When the empire fell, the clans turned on each other. Greed, power, betrayal. My brother fought to protect our people, but there were too many enemies. Too much chaos. In the end, he vanished. We thought him dead. And with him, the ring." Her eyes moved to Cale's hand again. "But now it has returned. On the hand of a human. Do you understand what that means?" Cale shook his head. "I understand that people want me dead for it. That's all I need to know." She leaned forward. "It means destiny has chosen you." Cale almost laughed. "Lady, destiny doesn't choose people like me." But her gaze didn't soften. "It chose my brother once. And now it chooses you. That ring carries not just power, but memory. It remembers the blood of kings, the oaths of warriors, the fall of empires. It will call to those who crave the throne. And they will come for you." Cale felt the weight on his hand again. The ring was cold, but it felt alive. He remembered the dying soldier. The way he had grabbed Cale's wrist with the last of his strength. The look in his eyes, desperate, pleading. "Keep it safe. Don't let them have it." Now Cale knew why. The woman rose to her feet. "Listen to me. The one who hunts this ring now is Lord Careth. He was once my brother's general. When the empire fell, he betrayed him. Took half the army for himself. He dreams of being king. With that ring, he can force the clans to bow to him." Cale understood. "So he needs the ring to claim the throne." She nodded grimly. "And he will burn entire cities to get it." The horn sounded again, closer this time. Cale moved to the window and saw shapes in the distance. Soldiers, armored and armed, marching through the narrow streets. "Looks like he's starting tonight," Cale muttered. The woman grabbed a small bag from the shelf and shoved a few old books inside. "We have to go," she said urgently. "There is someone who can help us. A historian. He knows the old prophecies. He can tell us why the ring chose you." Cale didn't like the sound of that. He didn't believe in prophecies. He believed in bullets, in survival, in keeping his head down. But the ring had changed everything. As they slipped out the back door, the city felt different. The streets were darker. The air was heavier. Every shadow looked like a soldier waiting to strike. Cale stayed close to the old woman as they moved through alleys, avoiding the main roads. Finally, when they reached the edge of the city, Cale spoke again. "Tell me something," he said. "If your brother was the last heir, then what happens if Careth gets the ring?" The woman stopped walking. For a long moment she didn't answer. Then she said softly, "If he gets it, he will crown himself king. The clans will follow him. And there will be war unlike anything this galaxy has seen." Cale looked down at the ring. It glowed faintly under the moonlight, like it heard her words. He didn't want it, but it was his now, and people were going to die for it. The night on Lumerus had a strange silence, the kind of silence that comes before storms or wars. Kale and the old alien woman moved through the narrow backstreets, keeping low as soldiers searched the city behind them. Their boots echoed softly against the stone roads, the only sound besides the wind whistling through broken windows. Every time the horn blew in the distance, the old woman flinched. Kale walked like a man used to danger, eyes scanning rooftops, corners, doorways. He had done this many times before, moving through cities where someone wanted him dead. But this was different. This time they were coming for a ring, and he still didn't fully understand why it had to be him. After almost an hour, they reached the ruins of an old temple. Its walls were cracked, half buried under sand. The doors burned black from some long-forgotten fire. "This place looks friendly," Kale muttered, his voice low. The old woman gave him a sharp look. "It will keep us safe for now. The soldiers fear these ruins. They say ghosts walk here." Kale raised an eyebrow. Ghosts, right? He didn't believe in ghosts, but the place did feel wrong. Cold air moved through the empty halls like whispers. Inside, the moonlight fell through holes in the roof, painting the floor in silver light. Statues of old kings and queens stood broken, their faces scarred by time. "This temple," the woman said softly, "was once the heart of the empire. My brother was crowned here, and here, we lost everything." Kale looked around. He could almost feel the weight of the past pressing down on the walls. They stopped in front of a large stone table. The woman brushed away dust, revealing carvings, symbols like the ones on Kale's ring. "These," she said, tracing the lines with her fingers, "are the marks of the royal seal. The ring carries them because it carries authority. It was made so no warlord, no general, no traitor could take the throne without it." Kale studied the carvings. "But someone did," he said slowly. The woman's face darkened. "Lord Kareth." She spat the name like poison. "My brother trusted him. He led our armies. But when the empire was weakest, he betrayed us. He killed those loyal to the crown. My brother escaped with the ring, but he never returned." Kale thought of the dying soldier, the man who had given him the ring with his last breath. So that was the prince, the last heir, and now Kale wore his crown. Great. Why would Kareth care about the ring after all these years? Kale asked. "Because," she said, her eyes glinting in the moonlight, "the clans still remember the old laws. The ring can unite them. With it, he can claim the throne and make them kneel." Kale shook his head. "And if I destroy it?" She looked horrified. "You can't. It was forged in the heart of a dying star. It will last longer than kingdoms, longer than you or me. The only choice is to protect it or give it to the one worthy of it." Kale gave a humorless laugh. "And you think that's me?" Her eyes didn't waver. "The ring chose you when my brother gave it to you. That cannot be undone." Kale didn't like the sound of chose. He didn't believe in destiny. He believed in survival, in keeping his head down, in walking away when things got messy. But the ring had other plans. Before he could speak again, movement flickered near the broken doorway. Kale's hand went to his pistol instantly. He aimed into the darkness. "Come out," he said coldly. A figure stepped into the moonlight. A young alien man, wearing old scholar's robes, his hands raised to show he carried no weapon. "It's me," the newcomer said quickly. "I'm Ryan, the historian." The old woman relaxed slightly. "You took your time." Ryan moved closer, his eyes falling on the ring Kale wore. For a moment he just stared. "So it's true," he whispered. "The seal lives." Kale sighed. "You're the one who's supposed to tell me why everyone wants me dead over this thing." Ryan nodded slowly. "Not just why. I can tell you what comes next." The way he said it made Kale's stomach tighten. Ryan placed an old book on the table, its cover cracked and pages yellowed. He opened it to a page covered in symbols and drawings. "This," he said, pointing to an image of the ring, "is the prophecy. It speaks of the day when the seal will return, not to a prince, but to a stranger from the stars. He will either save the clans, or bring war that ends them all. Cale stared at the picture. The stranger in the drawing wore the ring on his hand, and the stranger looked a lot like him. Before he could speak, the horn blew again, this time so close the walls shook. The soldiers had found them. The sound of the horn rolled through the broken walls of the old temple like thunder chasing them. Dust fell from the ceiling. Outside, the faint sound of marching feet grew louder. Cale stood near the doorway, his pistol ready. He didn't like feeling trapped. And right now, the temple felt like a cage. "Tell me fast," he said to the historian. "What does this prophecy actually say?" Rhine, the young historian, kept his voice calm even as the danger grew closer. He pointed at the ancient book on the table, the pages covered with strange symbols and drawings. "It says," Rhine began, "the ring will not return to the blood of kings. It will return to an outsider, a man with no crown, no throne, no destiny. He will come from the stars, and his choice will decide if the clans rise together or burn forever." Cale's jaw tightened. "That outsider is supposed to be me?" The historian's eyes moved to the ring on Cale's hand. "You carry it. That is enough." The old woman nodded slowly. "It was never about bloodlines," she said softly. "It was about trust. My brother gave it to you because he saw something in you." Cale almost laughed. "He saw a man looting a battlefield. That's all I was that day. A man looking for food, ammo, anything to survive." "Maybe," the old woman said, "but you didn't sell it. You didn't throw it away. You kept it safe even when you didn't know its worth. That means something." Cale didn't like the weight of their words. He had carried the ring for years without thinking about it. It was just metal, a memory of a man he barely knew. Now they were telling him it carried the fate of a planet. The soldiers' horns blew again, closer now. Rhine turned a page in the book quickly. "There is more," he said, his voice urgent. "The prophecy speaks of a shadow general, a traitor who will rise when the ring returns. He will claim it as his own and drown the clans in blood unless the outsider stops him." "Let me guess," Cale muttered. "That would be Lord Careth." The historian nodded grimly. "He already calls himself king of the Ash clans. But without the ring, the other clans will never follow him. That is why he hunts you." Cale looked at the door where the sound of boots was growing louder. "He might catch me before I even decide what to do." The old woman touched his arm gently. "Cale," she said, "if Careth gets the ring, he will unite the clans under his rule. And then, he will take his war beyond this world. Your people, your earth. No one will be safe." Cale felt a chill crawl up his spine. He had seen war. He had seen cities burn, families run from fire, soldiers fight over scraps of land. But this sounded bigger. "This isn't my fight," he said finally. The old woman looked at him with sharp eyes. "It became your fight the day you accepted that ring." Cale didn't answer. He had never asked to be a hero. He had spent his life surviving one day at a time. Heroes died young. Heroes left graves behind. But the ring on his hand felt heavy, like it was waiting for his answer. Before he could speak, a soldier's voice shouted from outside, ordering others to surround the ruins. Rhine grabbed his book and stuffed it into a bag. "There is a way out," he said quickly. "An underground tunnel. It will take us beyond the city walls." Cale nodded. "Good. Move fast." They hurried toward the back of the temple where broken stairs led underground. The air below was damp and cold. Old torches burned weakly, casting long shadows on the walls. As they moved, Cale asked, "If this prophecy says I have to stop Careth, how?" "I'm one man. He has an army." Rhine's voice echoed in the tunnel. "The prophecy doesn't say you will fight alone. It says the ring will reveal the allies you need, if you prove yourself worthy." Cale didn't like the sound of that. He didn't trust easily. And he didn't believe in magic rings choosing allies like in old fairy tales. But the alternative was worse, Careth winning. When they reached the far end of the tunnel, Cale climbed the last steps first. He pushed open a hidden door, and cold night air rushed in. The city was far behind them now. Beyond the walls lay open land, hills under the pale moons of Lumerus. They stepped out carefully. The wind carried the smell of smoke from the city where soldiers still searched. Cale looked at the horizon. Somewhere out there, Lord Careth was marching with his army. Somewhere out there, war was waiting. The old woman spoke softly behind him. "This is only the beginning, Cale. The ring has chosen its bearer. Now you must choose what kind of man you will be." Cale didn't answer, because for the first time in years, he didn't know. The night outside the city was cold. The wind carried dust across the empty hills, whispering through dead trees like voices from the past. Cale stood near a broken stone wall, looking at the ring on his hand. The metal glimmered faintly under the twin moons of Lumerus, as if it held its own light. The old alien woman, Rhine the historian, and Cale had escaped the soldiers for now. They camped near the ruins of an old watchtower far from the city lights. A small fire burned between them, throwing long shadows on the cracked walls. But there was no warmth in the air. Cale didn't speak for a long time. His eyes stayed on the ring like it was an enemy he couldn't kill. Finally, he said, "I didn't ask for this. I didn't ask for thrones or prophecies or wars. I just wanted to stay alive." The old woman's face was hard in the firelight. "Do you think my brother asked for it?" she said softly. "Do you think he wanted to die carrying that ring? Fate doesn't ask what we want, Cale. It takes what it needs." Cale looked up sharply. "I'm no king. You don't have to be," Rhine said. His voice was calm, steady. "The prophecy doesn't say you must rule. It says you must decide. If you give the ring to Careth, he will unite the clans under his banner. Through fear, through blood. If you keep it, you must find another path. A path where the clans stand together without him." Cale stared into the flames. "And if I do nothing?" The old woman's eyes burned like coals. "Then Careth will hunt you forever. And when he kills you, he will take the ring and crown himself king. The war will burn across worlds. And your people, your earth, will be next." Silence fell again. Cale's life had been simple before this. Survive. Fight when needed. Walk away when things got too heavy. He had lived that way for years. Kept him breathing. But now, the ring on his hand was a chain dragging him toward something bigger than himself. And he hated it. Rhine opened his old book again. "There is something you should know," he said carefully. "The prophecy speaks of the bearer's choice. It says the ring will give the outsider one chance, only one. He may destroy it, ending its power forever. Or he may keep it, using it to unite the clans under his command." Cale's head turned slowly. "Destroy it? I thought you said it can't be broken." Rhine nodded. "Only in one place, the Starforge, where it was made. But no one who goes there ever returns." Cale smirked faintly. "Of course, there's always a catch." The old woman leaned closer, her voice sharp. "If you destroy it, the clans will never unite again. They will stay divided. Weak, Careth will rise. Or someone worse. But if you keep it, you must carry the burden of leading them." Cale almost laughed. "Lead them? Lady, I'm not a soldier anymore. I'm not even from this planet." Her eyes didn't waver. "The ring doesn't care where you come from. It only cares what you will do." Cale fell silent again. The fire cracked softly. Somewhere far off, a wolf-like creature howled under the moons. He remembered the dying prince on that battlefield years ago. The man's blood on his hands. His last words, "Keep it safe. Don't let them have it." Cale had thought it was just a dying wish. Now it felt like a command echoing through time. Finally, he spoke. "If I keep it, I'll have to fight Careth." Rhine nodded. "Yes, and he will come with everything he has. And if I destroy it," the old woman's voice turned bitter, "then my brother died for nothing. The clans will never stand as one again." Cale closed his eyes for a moment. He could almost feel the weight of the ring pressing into his bones. It wasn't just metal anymore. It was history. It was war. It was choice. When he opened his eyes, he looked at both of them. "I don't want thrones," he said. "I don't want armies. But I won't let Kareth have it. If he wins, too many will die. So, he took a deep breath. I keep it. For now. The old woman exhaled slowly, like she had been holding her breath for hours. Ryan closed his book with a snap. Then the path is clear. You will need allies. The clans will not follow you easily. Some will fight you. Some will betray you. But if you win their loyalty, you can stop Kareth before he takes the throne. Kale looked at the horizon where the twin moons hung over the dark hills. Somewhere out there, Lord Kareth was marching with his army. And Kale had just chosen to stand in his way. The fire had burned low by the time Kale finally slept. For hours, he had sat near the dying flames, staring at the ring on his hand. It glowed faintly in the dark, like it was alive, like it was watching him. The old alien woman and Ryan the historian had slept in silence. But Kale's mind was restless. He had made his choice. He would keep the ring. He would stop Kareth. But how? The man had an army, cities, spies in every corner of the planet. Kale had a ring, 2 allies, and no plan. Before dawn, the wind changed. Kale woke first, his instincts warning him of danger. He moved to the edge of the ruins where they had camped and looked out toward the hills. And there, far away, torches burned in the night. An army was coming. Kale cursed under his breath. He shook the old woman awake. Then Ryan. They've found us, he said coldly. We move now. They packed quickly, leaving the fire to die. The 3 of them headed toward the mountains where, according to Ryan, the first clan loyal to the old king still lived. If Kale could win them, maybe others would follow. But the army behind them was moving fast. By the time the suns rose, Kale and his companions reached the cliffs overlooking a valley. Below lay the ancient stronghold of Clan Varys, carved into the rock itself. The old woman's voice softened as she looked down at it. This was my mother's clan, she said. If any will hear you, it will be them. Kale didn't feel hopeful. He felt hunted. Inside the valley, the clan's warriors surrounded them the moment they approached. Tall, armored, carrying spears of burning energy. An older man stepped forward, his face marked with scars, his eyes hard. Why do you come here with weapons? He demanded. Kale held up his hands. I come with no war, he said. But when the man's eyes fell on the ring, everything changed. The warriors froze. Some stepped back. Others whispered to each other in shock. The scarred leader stared at Kale like he was looking at a ghost. Where did you get that ring? He asked slowly. Kale was tired of the question. A dying soldier gave it to me, he said. Your last prince. A murmur moved through the warriors. The old man stepped closer. Do you know what you carry, human? Kale's jaw tightened. I'm learning fast. The old man's eyes were dark with memories. That ring was forged when our world was young. It carries the oaths of kings, the loyalty of clans. But it also carries... He hesitated, then said softly, a curse. Kale stiffened. A curse. The old man nodded. Every bearer of the ring dies in battle. My father, my brothers, the last prince. All fell while wearing it. The ring chooses leaders, yes, but it also chooses martyrs. The words hit Kale like a punch. He remembered the dying prince on that battlefield, his blood soaking the ground, his last breath spent giving Kale this cursed piece of metal. The old woman stepped forward angrily. You call it a curse? She said sharply. But without it, the clans will never unite. Without it, Kareth will burn everything. The old man looked at her. And with it, this human will die, just like your brother. Kale said nothing, because deep down he already knew. He had seen the way the ring almost felt alive, the way it seemed to carry a weight beyond metal. Maybe it didn't just choose leaders. Maybe it chose sacrifices. The old man looked at Kale for a long time, then sighed. If you truly wish to stand against Kareth, the clans will follow the ring. But know this, human, when you raise it, you call both loyalty and death. Kale looked down at the ring, its glow faint in the morning sun. He didn't believe in curses. He believed in choices, and he had already made his. He turned to the old man. Then call your warriors. Tell them to prepare, Because Kareth is coming. The old man studied him carefully. Then he raised his hand, and a horn sounded deep in the valley. Cale watched as warriors gathered below, hundreds of them carrying banners with the sigil of Clan Varys. The old woman stepped closer to Cale. Once the clans unite, she said softly, you will lead them, but you must accept the truth, Cale. The ring does not let its bearers die in peace. Cale's eyes stayed on the army forming below. I never expected peace, he said coldly. Far beyond the valley, dust rose on the horizon. Lord Kareth was coming, and the first war horn of rebellion had just been sounded.